finds brotherhood in thee no sharper spur. Hath love in thy old blood no living fire? Edward's 7 sons, whereof thyself art one, were as 7 vials of his sacred blood, or 7 fair branches springing from one root. Some of those 7 are dried by nature's course, some of those branches by the destinies cut. But Thomas, my dear lord, my life, my Gloucester, one vial full of Edward's sacred blood, one flourishing branch of his most royal root is cracked, and all the precious liquor spilt is hacked down, and his summer leaves all faded by envy's hand and murder's bloody axe. Ah, Gaunt, his blood was thine, that bed, that womb, that metal, that self-mould that fashioned thee, made him a man, and though thou livest and breathest, yet art thou slain in him. Thou dost consent in some large measure to thy father's death, in that thou seest thy wretched brother die, who was the model of thy father's life. Call it not patience, Gaunt, it is despair. In suffering thus thy brother to be slaughtered, thou showest the naked pathway to thy life, teaching stern murder how to butcher thee. That which in mean men we entitle patience is pale, cold cowardice in noble breast. What shall I say? To safeguard thine own life, the best way is to venge my Gloucester's death.
I've been studying how I may compare this prison where I live and to the world.
If he serve God, we'll serve him
and
too,
for because
and
the world
is
is populous, and here
revolt
is
our subjects,
not a creature, but
mend.
myself,
they break their faith to God
I
as
cannot
well as
do
us.
it.
Cry woe, destruction, ruin, decay.
Yet I'll hammer it out.
The worst is death.
My brain
Death
I'll
shall
prove the
have his
female
day.
to my soul the father. And these
Vipers,
two beget a
damned
generation of
without
still
redemption.
breeding thoughts.
Dogs easily
and these
run
same
to fawn
thoughts
on any
people
man.
this little
Snakes
world
in my heart
humours
wound
like
that
the
sting
people
my
of
heart.
this world.
3 Judases, each
For
one
no thought is
thrice worse than
contented.
Judas.
The better sort,
Would they make peace?
as thoughts of things
Terrible hell
divine
make war
are
upon their spotted
intermixed with
souls for this
scruples
offence.
and do set the word itself against the word.
No matter where, of
As
comfort
thus,
no man speaks.
come little
Let's
ones,
talk of graves,
and then again,
of worms, of epitaphs.
it is as hard to come as for a
Dust
camel
our
to
paper
thread the
with rainy
postern of a
eyes write
small
sorrow on
needle's
the bosom
eye.
of the earth. Let's choose executors
Thoughts
and
tending
talks
to
of wills,
ambition.
and yet not so,
I
for
do
what can we
plot
bequeath save
unlikely
our
wonders.
deposed bodies to the ground? Our lands, our
These
lives,
vain, weak
and all our
nails
Bolling
may
brooks,
tear a
and
passage
nothing we
through
can
the
call our
flinty
own
ribs
but
of this
death,
hard
and that
world.
small model of the
My
barren
ragged
earth which
prison walls,
serves as paste and cover of
and
our
for they
bones.
cannot die
God's
in their
sake,
own pride.
let's sit upon the ground and tell sad stories of the
Thoughts
death of kings.
tending to content,
How some have been
flatter
deposed,
themselves that they are not the first of
some
fortune's slaves,
slain in
nor
war,
shall
some
not be
haunted
the
by the ghosts that
last.
they have deposed, some poisoned by their wives, some sleeping killed, all murdered.
Like silly beggars,
For within the hollow
who
crown
sitting
that
in the
rounds the
stocks
mortal
refuge
temples of a
their
king
shame.
keeps death
That
his
many
court,
have and others
there
must
the
sit there,
antic
and in
sits,
this thought they
scoffing his state and
find
grinning
a
at his
kind of
pomp,
ease,
allowing him a breath,
bearing their own
a little
misfortunes
scene
on the back of such
to
as have
monarchize, be
before
feared,
endured the
and
like.
kill with looks, infusing him
Thus
with
play
vain
I in
and
one
conceit,
person many people,
as if this flesh which walls about our life
long
were brass
contented.
impregnable, and humoured thus, comes at the last, and widow the little pin bores through his
Sometimes
castle wall,
am I
and
king.
farewell, king,
Then treasons
cover
make
your
me
heads
wish
and
myself
mock
a
not
beggar,
flesh and blood with
and so I
solemn
am.
reverence.
Then crushing penury,
Throw
then
away
am I
respect,
kinged
tradition,
again, and
form,
by
and
think that
ceremonious
I am
duty. For
unkinged
you
by
have mistook
Bolingbroke,
me all this while,
and straight
I
am
live with
nothing,
bread like you.
but
Feel
whate'er I
want,
be.
taste grief, need friends,
Nor I
subjected
nor
thus.
any man but
How
that
can
man
you say
is,
to me,
with
am I a
nothing
king?
shall be pleased, till he be eased with being nothing.
My Lord of Suffolk, is this the guise? Is this the fashion of the court of England? Is this the government of Britain's Isle? And is this the majesty of the Albion King? Why, shall King Henry be a pupil still under the surly Gloucester's governance? Am I a queen in title and style? Must be answerable to a duke. When in the city tours thou ranst a hilt in honour of my love, and stolest away the ladies' hearts of France, I thought Henry resembled thee in honour, courage, and proportion. But his mind is bent to holiness, to numbering Ave Marias on his beads. His champions are the saints and the apostles. His weapons, sacred swords of Holy Writ. His study is his tilt chart. And his loves, brazen images of canonized saints. With the College of the Cardinals would carry him to Rome and make him Pope. And such a crown upon his head. That would be a state fit for his holiness.
Sir, I desire you do me right and justice, and to bestow your pity on me, for I am a most poor woman, and a stranger born out of your dominions, having here no judge indifferent, nor no more assurance of equal friendship and proceeding. Alas, sir, what have I done to offend you? What cause hath my behaviour given to your displeasure, that thus you should proceed to put me off and take your good grace from me? Heaven witness, I have been to you a true and humble wife at all times, to your ill will conformable, even in fear to kindle your dislike, yea, subject to your countenance, glad or sorry as I saw it inclined. When was the hour I ever contradicted your desire or made it not mine too? Or which of your friends have I not strove to love, although I knew he were mine enemy? What friend of mine that had to him derived your anger did I continue my liking? Nay, give notice he was from thence discharged. Sir, call to mind that I have been your wife, and in this obedience upward of 20 years, and I have blessed with many children by you. If in the course and process of this time you can report and prove it too against mine honour, out my bond to wedlock, or my love and duty against your sacred person, in God's name turn me away, and let fowl's contempt shut the door upon me, and so give up to the sharpest kind of justice.
I am undone by his going, I'll warrant you. He's an infinitive thing upon my score. Good Master Fang, hold him. Good Master Snare, let him not scape. He comes continually pie corner, saving your manhoods, to buy a saddle. And he's indicted to dinner to the Lubber's Head in Lambert Street to Master Smooth the silkman. I pray you, since my Exion is entired and my case so openly known to the world, let him be brought into his answer. 100 marks is a long one for a lone woman to bear, and I have borne and borne and borne. I've been fubbed off and fubbed off and fubbed off from day to that day, that it's a shame to be thought on. There's honesty in such dealing, unless a woman should be made an ass, a beast, to bear every knave's wrong. Marry, if thou wert an honest man thyself and the two, thou didst swear to me upon a parcel gilt goblet, my dolphin chamber, at the round table by a sea coal fire, Wednesday in Weeson week, when the prince broke thy head for liking his father to singing man of Windsor, thou didst swear me then, as I was washing thy wound, to marry me, and make me lady thy wife. Canst thou deny it? And did not Goodwife Keach, butcher's wife, come in then and call me gossip quickly, in to borrow a mess of vinegar, telling her she had a good prawns, whereby thou didst desire to eat some, whereby I told thee they were ill for green wound? And didst thou not, when was gone downstairs, desire me to be no more so familiarity such poor people, saying that ere long they should call me. And didst thou not kiss me, and bid me fetch the 30 shillings? I put thee now to the book oath. Deny it if thou canst.
Mad kings, mad world, mad composition. John, to stop Arthur in the hole, hath willingly departed with a part, and France, whom armour hath conscience buckled on, has gone from God's own soldier, rounded in the ear, to that purpose changer, that sly devil, that smooth-faced gentleman, tickling commodity. Commodity, that bias of the world. And
Yeah, baby.
Welcome on board Virgin Trains. We'll be travelling to Glasgow Central, calling at Carlisle.
what cedar wishes so, my cousin Westmoreland? Nay, sweet coz, if we are marked to die, we are enough to do our country loss. And if to live, the fewer the men, the greater the share of glory. God's will, I pray thee, wish not one man war. By Jove, I am not covetous for gold, nor care I who doth feed upon my cost. It yearns me not if men my garments wear. Such outward things dwell not in my desires. But if it be a sin to covet honour, I am the most covetous soul alive. I pray thee, wish not one man more. Rather, proclaim it throughout my host, Westmoreland, that he that hath not the stomach for this fight, let him depart. His passport shall be made, and crowns for convoy put in his purse. We would not die in that man's company that fears the fellowship to die with us. This day is called the Feast of Crispin. He that outlives this day and comes safe home shall yearly on the vigil feast his neighbours, and rouse him at the name of Crispin. Then he shall strip his sleeves and show his scars, and say, these wounds I got upon Saint Crispin. Then shall our names, as familiar in his mouth as household words, Harry the King, Bedford and Exeter, Warwick and Talbot, Gloucester and Salisbury, be in their flowing cups freshly remembered. This story shall the good man tell his son, and Crispin shall ne'er go by from this day until the ending of the world, but we in it shall be remembered. We few, we happy few, we band of brothers, for he that sheds his blood with me shall be my brother. Be he ne'er so vile, this day shall gentle his condition. And gentlemen in England now abed shall think themselves accursed that they were not here, and hold their manhoods cheap, whilst any speaks of those who fought with us upon St. Crispin's Day.
Brave warriors, Clifford and Northumberland, come make him stand upon this molehill here, that wrought at mountains with outstretched arms, yet parted but the shadow with his hand. What, was it you that would be England's king? Was it you that revelled in our parliament, and made a preachment of your high descent? Where are your Messrs' sons to back you now? The wanton Edward and the lusty George, and where's that valiant crookback prodigy, Dicky, your boy, that with his grumbling voice was wont to cheer his dad in mutinies? Or with the rest, where is your darling Rutland? Look, York. I stained this napkin with the blood that valiant Clifford with his rapier's point made issue from the bosom of the boy, and if thine eyes can water for his death, I give thee this to dry thy cheeks withal. Alas, poor York, but that I hate thee deadly, I should lament thy miserable state. I prithee grieve to make me merry. York, what hath thy fiery heart so parched thine entrails that not a tear can fall for Rutland's death? Why art thou patient, man? Thou should be mad. And I, to make thee mad, do mock thee thus. Stamp, rave, and fret, that I may sing and dance. Thou must be feed, I see, to make me sport. York cannot speak unless he wear a crown. A crown for York, and lords bow low to him. Hold you his hands while I do set it on. Ay, marry, sir, now he looks like a king. Ay, this is he that took in Henry's chair, and this is he was his adopted heir. But how is it the great Plantagenet is crowned so soon, and broke his solemn oath, as I bethink me you should not be king, till our King Henry had shook hands with death? And will you pale your head in Henry's glory and rob his temples of the diadem, now in his life against your holy oath? 'Tis a fault too unpardonable. Off with the crown, and with the crown his head, and whilst we breathe, take time to do him dead.
Man's life is a tedious one. I have tired myself, and for 2 nights together I have made the ground my bed. I should be sick, but that my resolution helps me. But Milford Haven, when from the mountain tops Pisanio showed thee, that was within a ken. By Jove, I think foundations fly the wretched, such I mean where they should be relieved. 2 beggars told me I would not lose my way. Poor folks lie, that have afflictions on them, knowing 'tis a punishment or trial. Yes, no wonder. Is sorer than to lie for need, and falsehood is worse in kings than beggars. My dear lord, thou art one of the false ones. Now I think on thee, my hunger's gone. But even before I was as point to sink for food. But what is this? Is a path to it, some savage bold I would best not call. I dare not call. Yet famine, overthrow nature, makes it valiant. Plenty and peace breeds cowards. Hardness of hardiness is mother. Ho! Who's here? If anything that's civil, speak. If savage, take or lend. Ho! No answer. Then I'll enter. Best draw my sword. Like me, he'll scarcely long on it. Good heavens.
My life shall prove it true, that Mowbray hath received 8,000 nobles in names of lendings for your highness's soldiers, the which he hath detained for lewd employments, like a false traitor and injurious villain. Besides, I say, and will in battle prove, or here or elsewhere to the furthest verge that ever was surveyed by English eye, that all the treasons for these 18 years complotted and contrived in this land fetch from false Mowbray their first head in spring. First, heaven be the record to my speech. in the devotion of a subject's love, tendering the precious safety of my prince and free from the other misbegotten hate. Pale, trembling coward, there I throw my gage, disclaiming here the kindred of the king, and lay aside my high blood's royalty, which fear, not reverence, makes thee to accept. If guilty dread have left thee so much strength as to take up mine honour's palm, then stoop. Come I, appellant to this princely presence, now Thomas Mowbray do I turn to thee, and mark my greeting well, for what I speak my body shall make good upon this earth, or my divine soul answer it in heaven. Thou art a traitor and a miscreant.
Thou art a traitor and a miscreant.
Too good to be so, and too
Thou
bad
art a
to
traitor
live.
and a miscreant.
Since the more fair and crystal is the sky, the uglier seem the
Thou
clouds
art
till
a
it
traitor
fly.
and a miscreant.
Once more, the more to aggravate the note, with a foul traitor's name stuck
art a
on my
traitor
throat.
And a miscreant.
Wish, so please my sovereign, ere I move, what my tongue speaks, my right drawn sword may prove.
Thou art a traitor and a miscreant. 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 Thou art a traitor and a miscreant.
Oh, this too solid flesh would melt, thaw, and resolve itself into a dew, or that the everlasting God fixed his cannon against self-slaughter, and profitable seemed to me all the uses of this world. Really stale, flat, unprofitable seemed to me all the uses of this world. Unweeded garden that grows to seed. Tis an unweeded garden that grows in nature, possess it merely. That it should come to this, rank and gross in nature, possess it merely. That it should come to this, 2 months dead, nay, not too much, not too. So excellent a king that was, to this, Hyperion to a satyr. So loving my mother that he might not beteem the winds of heaven, visit her face too roughly. Heaven and earth, must I remember, why she would hang on him, as if increase of appetite had grown by what it fed on. And yet within a month, let me not think of it. Frailty, thy name is woman. A little month, or ere those shoes were old, which she followed my poor father's body, like Niobe, all tears. Why even she, oh God, married with my uncle's discourse of reason. My father's brother would have mourned longer, but no married more like my father than I to Hercules. My father's brother, yet the sort no more like my father than I to Hercules, flashing in her mordid eyes. Yet the sort of most unrighteous wicked speed to post with such dexterity to incestuous wicked speed to post with such dexterity to cannot come to good sheets that break my heart. It is not nor for I must hold my tongue to good but break my heart. For I must hold my tongue. Tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow creeps this petty pace from day to day, to the last syllable of recorded time, and all our yesterdays of lighted falls, the way to dusty death. Out, brief candle. Life's but a walking shadow, a poor player that struts and frets his hour upon the stage, and then is heard no more. It is a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing.
He's just a morale booster, chief morale booster.
She should have died hereafter. There would have been a time for such a word. Tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow creeps in this petty pace from day to day, to the last syllable of recorded time, and all our yesterdays of lighted falls. The way to dusty death. Out, brief candle. Life's but a walking shadow, a poor player that struts and frets his hour upon the stage, and then is heard no more. It is a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing.
First let me tell you whom you have condemned. Not me, begotten of a shepherd swain, but issued from the progeny of kings, virtuous and holy, chosen from above by inspiration of celestial grace, to work exceeding miracles on earth. I never had to do with wicked spirits, but you that are polluted with your lusts, stained with the guiltless blood of innocence, corrupt and tainted with 1,000 vices. Because you want the grace that others have, you judge it straight a thing impossible to compass wonders, but by help of devils. No, misconceived. Joan of Eyre hath been a virgin from her tender infancy, chaste and immaculate in very thought, whose maiden blood, thus rigorously effused, will cry for vengeance at the gates of heaven.
Look at thy country. Look on fertile France, and see the cities and the towns defaced by wasting the ruin of the cruel foe. As looks the mother on her lowly babe, when death doth close his tender dying eyes. See the pining malady of France. Behold the wounds, the most unnatural wounds which thou thyself have given her woeful breast. Turn thy edged sword the other way. Strike those unhurt, not those that help. One drop of blood drawn from thy country's bosom should grieve thee more than streams of foreign gore. Return thee therefore with floods of tears and wash away thy country's staining spots. Besides, all French and France exclaims on thee, doubting thy birth and lawful progeny. Who joins thou with a lordly nation that will not trust thee but for profit's sake? When Talbot has set his footing in France and fashioned thee the instrument of ill, who then but English Henry will be lord, and thou be thrust out like a fugitive? We call to mind and mark this as for proof. Was not the Duke of Orleans thy foe? Was he not in England prisoner? But when they heard he was thine enemy, they set him free, without a ransom paid. See then, thou fight'st against thy countrymen, and joints with him will be their slaughter. Come, return, thou wandering lord. Charles and the rest will take thee in their arms. Marry, God forbid. Worst in his royal presence may I speak, yet best beseeming me to speak the truth. Would God that any in this noble presence were enough noble to make upright judge of noble Richard? Then true noblesse would learn him forbearance from so foul a wrong. The subject can give sentence on his king. And who sits here who is not Richard's subject? Thieves are not judged, but they are by to hear, although apparent guilt be seen in them. And shall the figure of God's majesty, his captain, steward, deputy elect, anointed, crowned, planted many years, be judged and subject, and inferior breath, and he himself not present? Offended God, that he in a Christian climate, souls refined, should show so heinous, black, and obscene a deed. I speak to subjects, and subject speaks, stirred up by God, thus boldly for his king. My lord of Hereford here, whom you call king, is a foul traitor to proud Hereford's king. And if you crown him, let me prophesy. The blood of English shall manure the ground, and future ages groan for this foul act. Peace shall go sleep with the infidels and Turks, and in this seat of peace, tumultuous war shall kin with kin and kind with kind confound. Disorder, horror, fear, mutiny shall here inhabit, and this land be called the field of Golgotha, and dead men's skulls. If you raise this house against this house, it will the wofullest division prove that ever fell upon this cursed earth. Prevent it, resist it, let it not be so, lest child's children cry against you. Woe!